All right. This is Carolina from Montclair, California. How does fasting work? What are the guidelines and its purpose?
Yeah, so let's start with its purpose, and then we'll go to its guidelines. So the purpose of fasting is to deny oneself from good things. So as Christians, right, we are always fasting from bad things. So fasting from sin, cutting things off, from sexual sin, maybe if we have an eating problem, maybe if anger, whatever, we're identifying it, we're cutting off, we're killing it. So fasting is not the elimination of sin. Fasting is really the acceptance of, okay, I'm going to be disciplined in this area and I'm going to say no to good things for the purpose of growing closer to God. So sometimes you fast from sweets. So that's the whole idea of Lent. So 40 days leading up to the crucifixion, burial, and resurrection of Jesus, Catholics, Episcopalians, and a lot of Christians around the world fast from something or from some things for a period of 40 days in order to say no to themselves so that they can make room to say yes to God. So that's the principle of fasting. Sometimes in the Old Testament, it's for grieving. Sometimes it's for confession, for death, you stop eating, a loved one's died. But really for us as Christians, the purpose is to say no to self so that we can make more room to say yes to God. Now, some Christians, I remember I had one guy tell me where the Lord Jesus never fasted. And he clearly talks about this. He says, you don't fast when the bridegroom is there.
Right.
Basically what he's saying is, it's a wedding celebration while he's here. The Messiah has come. And so that's why he did not do that. But we immediately see in the book of Acts and in the epistles that fasting is something that Christians do. And it's something that is acceptable and great and true. So I was fasting. I was doing the 16-hour fast for a period of time. So you stop eating at 8 at night. You don't eat until noon the next day. I've since learned that post 50, that you're not supposed to do that. I need 50 grams of protein in the morning, right when I wake up, just because as you're older, you need more protein. So that's been a hard shift for me, one of the joys of aging. But, I fast from sugar with the exception of on Sundays. And it's just something that I've learned as I've gotten older. The more money you make, the more free time you have, the more more of a lack of self-control that you get. And that's why, I think obesity is such an issue in our country, drunkenness, all of these things. And I think it's good to self-restrict. Now, here's what you can't do. Don't turn yourself into the spiritual prude where you look down and snub your nose on everybody else, because then you're missing the point. If fasting is not making you more like Jesus, then I wouldn't do it. Stop. So the longest I've ever fasted, I think I did 5 days, and that was rough. So 5 days, no food. I drank water. So I don't understand the people that don't drink water. It's not calories. Hydration is important. And that was very, very difficult for me. Some people do it for health benefits. I'm not a doctor. So I'm just going to say, I thought that was too long for me. So I don't think that I was pleasant to be around. It's not something that I recommend. I think it's good to fast if you need clarity on something. If I feel like I've grown disconnected from God, or my relationship with God is stale, it's something that I'll do. And it's amazing when you fast, you don't think, I wouldn't consider myself a foodie, but if I say I'm not going to eat for 24 hours, all I think about for the first hour is food. So it's amazing the control your carnal nature has on you. And so your carnal nature, like your natural desires, your desire for sex, your desire for food, your desire for safety, right? These things are on autopilot all the time. And if you're not checking in to make sure that, those things are in balance with God, you're going to crash. I was talking with a guy in our church who just became a pilot for the 737 MAX, the new Boeing airplanes. Remember they were crashing a couple years ago? And so what they didn't tell the pilots is they had this automated system that self-corrected the plane, but the pilots didn't know about it. And so they didn't know how to turn it off when the plane was doing something whack and it crashed. And so the idea was, right, it's this automated system. Like, you're not thinking about breathing right now. So you have an automated system in your brain. Yeah. God is designed. You're not telling your heart to beat. You're not telling your blood to move. So there are automated systems that are in us. And so that's what they thought. So automated systems are good things, but they can become bad things. Yeah. Because if you don't know how to shut something off, and that's what addiction is. Guys that are addicted to porn, masturbation, and sex, it's an automated response that you've just given into. Self-control is learning to say no to those things. And I believe becoming a mature Christian is learning to say no to self, natural desires. The spiritual life is always opposed to the natural life, always. So we got to make sure that we're tapping into that. So I would just say, I think it's a good way to check yourself and to connect with God. And I like to get away. I like to, because I'm not great when I'm around Tammy. Like when I would fast when the kids were little, she's making spaghetti and I'm in the other room dying. But now I'm able to just get away and do it. And I try not to make a big deal. I like to do it when Tammy's gone, because then it's just me and I'm able to do that. And if I'm miserable or grouchy, then she's not experiencing that. But I think it's a good thing. It is something that's challenging. I don't think it's for everybody, but I would encourage everybody to at least try it. And so maybe start with not eating till lunch one day. Then the next time, see if you can not make it to dinner. And then if you can do that, make it to breakfast the next day. That's a 24-hour fast. And I would say that's a great win. Yeah, that's a great win. And then I would say for some people, maybe you do 2 days, maybe 3 days max. And then I would really be careful. We had a young man in our church that did, he tried to do 40 days like Moses. And I think he got to like 18 days and he got really sick.
Yeah.
And so, and you can't just go eat. Your intestines go flat. There's a lot of things that happen in your body and you can't just go eat a burger. Like he had to start with like bone broth to like get his system working again. And that was really hard to watch because I loved him a great deal. So be really, really careful. You're not Moses, you're not Jesus. So just chill out. So, but I think it's a good thing just to really, really restricting myself has been a blessing. The Apostle Paul says, I will not be a slave to anything. And anything that has a hold on you that's greater than God is a problem.
That's right.
And so fasting is the ability to cut that. And so, great question. I'll be praying for you. I would encourage you to try it. Like I said, start with a meal, then do 2 meals. And then if you can work your way up to 3 meals, I think that's great. But a lot of weight loss issues and stuff are spiritual issues. I remember a couple years ago, my mom was reading a book called Crave. And so a lot of people, like, when my mom grew up, when she would hurt her knee or whatever, her mom would say, you want a cookie? And so sugar became the way that she self-soothed. Well, the Lord Jesus needs to be the way that we self-soothe. And so we don't put something in our mouth. We say something with our mouth. Lord, I need you. Lord, help me in this situation. Lord, give me peace or Lord, heal this wound. And so rather than turning to food, or sex or alcohol, turn to the Lord, because I just, to be a Christian, you cannot be a slave to anything. And a lot of people are. And if you don't believe me, try to give up something you like.
Absolutely. So, for a day or two. Yeah, absolutely. My husband actually fasted for 40 days before we got married, but he did 1 meal a day for 15 days. I think it was 45 days.
Yeah, that's
and then he did
1
bowl of soup a day. And then he did, for the last part, he did like just fruits and vegetables or something. But he was skinny rail when I came back home. And it was before we got married, and he took a leave of absence from work and lived in his parents' church, like did not go home to seek the Lord for 40 days. And so some amazing things came out of that. And he was like, I don't know if I do that again, obviously, because churches are scary at night. But it has to be the Lord leading you into that. And then also just be really wise with how you fast and what you put your body through. Because I think 3 days is a good. And
it's something to be very private about. Jesus says, don't make a big deal about it.
Right. Or that's your reward right there.
So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carolina.